From a young age, we are taught that the development of human civilization is a clear step-by-step process. Primitive humans used stone tools and lived around campfires. Later, they learned to cast bronze. Then came the industrial age with the roar of machines, ultimately leading to what we see today. But what if this clear developmental path has actually been embellished or even fabricated? Could those strange ruins buried underground or submerged at the bottom of the sea, and those artifacts appearing in an era that shouldn't exist, actually be quietly telling us a deliberately hidden truth? Today, we'll uncover some of the mysteries of archaeology and examine those potentially concealed clues to prehistoric civilizations. In 1972, French scientists, during routine exploration at the Oklo uranium mine in Gabon, unexpectedly discovered a strange phenomenon. The uranium-235 concentration there was only 0.717%, far lower than the natural normal concentration of 0.720%. Behind these tiny differences lies a truth that could revolutionize the history of human technology. This vein had been undergoing controlled nuclear fission for 500,000 years, 2 billion years ago, with a reaction efficiency almost identical to that of a modern nuclear power plant. To achieve such a chain reaction, high-purity groundwater is needed as a decelerator. The distribution density of uranium ore needs to be precisely controlled, and even a heat dissipation structure needs to be designed. Can these conditions really be achieved by chance through natural geological movements? If the controversy surrounding the Oklo reactor can be attributed to geological coincidence, then how can this structure deep in the ocean be explained? In 1986, a diver unexpectedly discovered a massive underwater structure near Yonaguni Island, which is under Japanese jurisdiction. The ruins, measuring 270 meters long and 120 meters wide, feature regular right-angled staircases, symmetrical arches, and even reliefs resembling sculpted patterns. Even more astonishingly, the coral fossils attached to the ruins indicate that it sank to the seabed at least 10,000 years ago, a time of significant sea level rise following the end of the last glacial period. Mainstream academia claims this is simply the result of natural geological erosion. But can the regular right-angled structure and precise cutting marks truly have been shaped by waves and rock weathering? Is the legendary continent of Mu not just a myth? On the outskirts of Cusco, Peru, the megalithic walls of Sacsayhuaman remain an unsolved mystery left to the world by the Inca civilization. Each of these megaliths weighs thousands of tons, with the heaviest reaching 1,500 tons. Yet, the precision with which they are joined is so perfect that even a blade cannot penetrate, and the cutting error is no more than 0.01 millimeters. Keep in mind that the quarrying site is more than 20 kilometers from Sacsayhuaman in an era. Without heavy machinery, how did the ancient Incas move these behemoths? And how did they achieve such precise cutting and joining? The mainstream view is that they relied on ropes, ramps, and levers, spending decades completing this project. But can this explanation truly account for such engineering precision that transcends its time? Perhaps the Incas simply inherited the technological legacy of an even more ancient civilization. In 1924, Anna, the daughter of an archaeologist, discovered a movable crystal skull with a mandible in Lubantum, a Mayan city in British Honduras. The skull was believed to be a Mayan divination tool with mystical powers, carved from a single piece of crystal. Its smooth surface shows no signs of tooling. Even modern laser technology could not replicate it with the same precision and texture. It was considered a sacred object of Mayan rituals, embodying ancient wisdom. However, controversy ensued. Some crystal skulls have been proven to be forgeries made by 19th century European craftsmen, and no archaeological stratigraphic evidence supports its contemporaneity with the Mayan civilization. So, do genuine ancient crystal skulls exist? Did the Mayans possess crystal processing techniques unknown to us? The ancient city of Mohenjo-Daro, located in the Indus Valley in present-day Pakistan, is known as the Mound of the Dead. Here, archaeologists discovered 46 unusual skeletons. They were not naturally decomposed, but rather vitrified, and the bones showed traces of abnormal radiation, highly similar to the characteristics of nuclear blast victims. Even more coincidentally, the ancient Indian epic, the Mahabharata, describes a fire of destruction. Thunder roared in the sky, the fire was as bright as the sun, and the soldiers were instantly reduced to ashes. Mainstream academia believes that the vitrification of the bones was caused by high-temperature fires or volcanic eruptions, unrelated to a nuclear explosion. But is the striking similarity between the epic's description and the archaeological findings truly just a coincidence? Could a nuclear war have occurred in prehistoric times? The rock carvings located in the Val Camonica Valley in Italy, created over a period of nearly 8,000 years, contain precise astronomical codes. Some of the patterns closely match the Orion constellation, with the positions of the stars accurately corresponding to celestial events from 13,000 years ago. This knowledge would require thousands of years of accumulated astronomical observations, and could not have been the result of accidental drawings by primitive tribes. Even more thought-provoking is that this astronomical connection is not an isolated case. From the alignment of the Egyptian pyramids and the orientation of Stonehenge in England to the markings on the Sunday Gate at the Tiwanaku site in South America, the layout of numerous prehistoric sites worldwide coincides with the trajectories of ancient zodiacal constellations. Faced with these common clues spanning different regions and time periods, have we consistently underestimated the astronomical observation capabilities and the level of civilization of prehistoric humans? In 1938, a set of artifacts unearthed from an ancient tomb outside Baghdad plunged the history of the invention of electricity into controversy. An ordinary ceramic bottle containing copper tubes and an iron rod sealed with bitumen surprisingly generated a stable voltage when replicated by researchers, becoming a primitive battery. It dates back over 2,200 years, while the universally acknowledged invention of the battery is the voltaic pile, invented by the Italian physicist Volta in 1800. Mainstream academia considers it merely a simple device for gilding, not a true electrical system. But in an era without the concept of electric current or supporting theoretical frameworks, how could the ancients design such a precise electrochemical device? Does this conceal a forgotten technological legacy? A relief on the walls of the Dendera temple in Egypt has sparked a century-long debate. In the relief, figures hold objects resembling light bulbs, connected below by intertwined lines. Both their shape and structure bear a striking resemblance to modern electric lights. Some see this as direct evidence of prehistoric civilizations using electric lights, proving that the ancient Egyptians had already mastered artificial lighting technology. However, mainstream scholarship offers a completely different interpretation, arguing that the so-called light bulb is a lotus flower and the lines are snakes, both religious symbols of life and rebirth in ancient Egypt. On one hand, there is a logical, scientific interpretation. On the other, a deeply ingrained understanding of religious symbols. Has the true nature of this relief been deliberately avoided? The Pumapangu site in Bolivia is even more perplexing than the Sacsayhuaman megaliths. The megaliths here, crafted from hard andesite, each weighing up to 800 tons, exhibit cutting precision and assembly techniques strikingly similar to those of the Sacsayhuaman megaliths. However, geological testing indicates that these megaliths were quarried during the last glacial period, 10,000 years earlier than the earliest known civilization in the area. Mainstream academia attempts to explain this with natural weathering plus later alteration. But the hardness of andesite is far beyond what ancient stone tools could easily cut. What kind of technological masters are hidden within this 10,000-year gap in civilization? In 1968, a fossilized footprint discovered in Utah's rock strata nearly overturned the history of human evolution. This clearly defined footprint, pressed against a 530 million-year-old trilobite fossil, matched modern human footprints by a staggering 98% in outline and pressure points. Mainstream academia believed it to be a natural trace formed by rock strata slippage, or a later forgery. However, stratigraphic analysis showed the rock strata were undisturbed and showed no signs of forgery. If this truly is a human footprint, then the history of human evolution and the timeline of Earth's civilization would be completely rewritten. Is this a natural mischief or the ultimate mark of a prehistoric civilization? The 10 pieces of evidence we've compiled are not intended to negate the findings of mainstream archaeology. In fact, most of the claims of concealment stem from incomplete evidence. Some remains are natural coincidences, some artifacts are forgeries, and some interpretations are subjective conjectures. However, it is undeniable that many details cannot be perfectly explained by existing theories. Those technological traces spanning different eras, those archaeological discoveries that coincide with epic tales, may not be complete evidence of prehistoric civilizations, but they do signal gaps in the history of civilization. We shouldn't rush to conclusions, because questioning itself is the driving force behind our exploration of the truth. And the full picture of human civilization may be far more complex and protracted than we imagine.